G'day, Bomber fans. So it's been a while since we last won a final, over 7,000 days, as we all know, but we haven't been down the bottom that whole time. We've actually played off in a few finals, and obviously we lost them. So today I'm going to go through our finals losses since our last win. A video idea suggested by Beetlejuice, so thank you for the suggestion, mate. 2004 was the year we last won a final. We beat the Demons in an elimination final by just 4 points to book a date with Geelong at the MCG. The Cats finished 4th that year, we finished 8th, so we went into the semi-final as big underdogs, and the game started as expected. We were goalless in the first quarter, and at halftime the Cats led us by 5 goals. In fact, the margin grew for three-quarter time. We went into that last term down by 33 points, staring down the barrel of a big defeat, but we rallied a bit thanks to James Hird and Matthew Lloyd, who starred for us. Hird with 33 touches and a goal, Lloyd with a cheeky bag of 3. We kicked 5 goals in a row to end the game, turning what was at one stage a 43-point deficit into an admirable 10-point loss against a top 4 team. That was as close as we would get to winning a final for about 20 years after that. So our last finals win was obviously in 2004, but it took another 5 seasons on top of that to reach the 8 again. In 2009, we had that famous Matthew Lloyd, Brad Sewell brawl, which not many people remember, to have actually set us into the 8. Michael Hurley went sicko mode in the forward line, leading us to a victory that ensured 8th finish, and a plane ticket to Adelaide Oval for a David vs Goliath matchup. The odds were well against us. I actually went to this game as a South Aussie myself and really struggled to stay the whole time. The writing was on the wall when Matthew Lloyd was given a 1-week suspension, all but ending his career. Ruckman Paddy Ryder and midfielder Sam Lonergan were also given suspensions, making the trip a formality more than a desired competitive matchup. To be fair, the game started off fairly evenly. We only trailed the 5th place Crows by a goal, but from quarter time onwards it was ugly. Adelaide piled on 22 goals in the next 3 terms. We managed 7. We were lucky not to be humiliated by over 100 points. The Crows won by 16 goals in the end. Adam McPhee was the lone standout for us, booting 4, one less than Jason Porplegia, who managed 5 for the Crows. Really, in 2009 we weren't that good a team to begin with. We had some big wins, including an upset against the top of the table Saints, but we were never consistent enough or threatening enough to push for a finals victory. And pair that with the fact we had to play the Firing Crows outfit without star players, it was a recipe for disaster. Of our recent finals losses, this was by far the worst to watch. 2009 may have been ugly, but 2011 was the one that really hurt. I didn't watch this game because I was actually busy winning an under-12 grand final for my local team. Weird flex, but okay. But I remember me and a mate, an Essendon fan, checking the score and having our moods ruined by what we saw. The Blues belted us at the G, embarrassing us in front of a massive crowd of 90,000 in Herd's first year as senior coach. It was yet again another season where we limped into the 8. We finished in 8th spot, 3 wins below Carlton, who weren't that far off top 4 realistically. We were simply not as good as them, and bar a fast start to the year, we're probably not good enough to make the 8. We were 3rd on the ladder in round 8, one of the best performing sides, but we would obviously get all those soft tissue injuries. We would lose in upsets against Melbourne and North Melbourne as well. We were belted by the Blues by 74 points during the season as well. We never really looked that good a side, although that famous Geelong victory helped give the fans some hope, but in the end the hope was for naught. We were thrashed by the Blues after a 10-goal-to-4 first half. 2014 was the closest we got to ending our streak. We actually looked a shoe-in for a semi-final midway through the 3rd quarter against the Kangaroos as we jumped out to a 6-goal lead, full of momentum against Brad Scott's side, but as we know, the Roos managed a stirring come-from-behind victory, shattering our dreams and providing them with enough hope to reach a preliminary final under Brad Scott. We finished the year in 7th place, 1 place behind the Roos, which meant the home ground advantage was really for nil. That MCG attendance of 78,000 would have been mostly made of Essendon supporters, and they were rocking early. At one stage, the score was 17-50 after a Paul Chapman goal, but young Ben Brown stepped up and helped the Kangas kick 5 unanswered goals, and that last term it was the Drew Petrie show. Their speed and grit made our defence work overtime, and Petrie reaped the rewards from his hard work in the forward line, booting the winning goals and coming out with that iconic Frank the Tank celebration. Despite us having a well-rounded age demographic, it was a lack of maturity that lost us the match. We had no answers for that Kangaroos momentum swing and really should have killed the game and cruised to an easy win after we got out to that lead. There is never any excuses for giving up a 50 to 17 point scoreline. It was the one that got away. That really should have been a win. In many ways, it's more embarrassing than the previous 2 games. I genuinely thought 2017 2017 was the year we'd break the streak. That was the most fun I've had watching an Essendon side, probably since the scandal, to be honest. We were fast, chaotic, brilliant to watch, but that slingshot, guns blazing style of footy is not sustainable come September, and we found that out firsthand. The Swans destroyed us over in Sydney, ending Joe Watson's career in a far from ideal way. We're getting finished the ladder in 7th spot, having to play the 6th place Swans, who beat us after the siren back in round 14 of the same year. All things pointed towards a close game. We had a firing team with 3 All-Australians. Danaher was imposing. In fact, he got us off to the perfect start, taking a specky and converting the first goal with ease. But after that opening goal, Sydney went on and kicked 10 straight. They bullied us through the guts. Their big midfield was impossible to deal with. They had over 20 more inside 50s, giving Buddy Franklin fuel to do his thing. He ended the game with 4 majors. It was our defence that was made to work. Hurley had the most touches for us. Gleeson and Goddard not far behind. Our midfield was nowhere to be seen. Watson and Merritt were kept out of the game. Meanwhile, Josh Kennedy and Luke Parker were irresistible. Really, this was a case of a fun team up against a good team. We may have been one of the more exciting teams to watch in 2017, but we were nowhere near the best, and we were shown up against the Swans, who narrowly missed out on a flag the year before. 2019, another year, another belting. It was more of the same. We scraped into the 8, went up against a team unlucky not to be top 4, and were shown how to play footy. At least here we were in the contest up until half-time, though. We were down by 30 points, but looked more capable than we did against the Swans. But up against West Coast at Optus Stadium, it's impossible when they're up and about. I spoke about the inside 50s before, but West Coast had 67 this match. They were having way too much fun with us. It was a much more prominent Essendon team than in 2017 as well. We had Dylan Shield, Adam Sard, Jake Stringer, but we had to play the reigning premiers with Norm Smith medalist Luke Shuey firing. Andrew Gaff was hungry after missing his flag the year before through suspension. I can make excuses all I want for other years, injuries and whatnot derailing our chances, but frankly, we were never going to win this game. The Eagles were so much better than us. We were simply making up numbers here. It was at least a finals experience for a few of our players. And finally, 2021, the year where really we shouldn't have even made the 8. Many predicted us to be around the bottom 4 after we lost Danaher, Fantasia and Sard, plus other retiring first team members. But a rejuvenated young list under new coach Ben Rutten got through to September. We finished 8th, a long way from the teams above though. 8th and 7th that year were 4 wins behind the other sides. In fact, the team we lost to went on to play in the grand final, so the disparity between the Dogs and Bombers was high. Even if we did beat them just a few weeks prior to this game when Peter Wright lit up an empty Etihad. This was a game at a neutral venue in Tasmania because of COVID. It was wet, it was highly contested, which was never going to favour Essendon, especially when we were as young as we were. But to be fair, we were right in the contest. We led early through some Darcy Parish soccer magic. We only trailed by a kick at halftime, and all things were pointing towards a close game. But as young teams often do, we ran out of legs. The Dogs kicked 8 goals after halftime. We couldn't even manage 1. It continued a streak of these finals lapses. We just seemed to fall asleep either early or late into games to gift our opposition an easy win. It was again their midfield that got the job done. Bontempelli, Dunkley, McRae, Liberatore. They were too big and strong and scary for our undersized engine room. We were shown up as the underdogs, but really, we could have won that game the way we were playing early. We just didn't have the maturity to stay in the hunt. It was the same story as it's been for well over a decade. So those are our last finals losses since our win back in 2004. Cheers for the video idea again. It wasn't a fun one to make, but it definitely is a video. So that is all. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and as always, go Bombers.